Well, here we are just in the P1 Bistro, opposite the Vojens Motorsport Arena Wall of Champions, which includes the likes of IndyCar regular Christian Rasmussen, Bastian Boos, the youngest ever Mobil 1 Super Cup champion, also a man that's very much entrenched with Mercedes-AMG in Formula 1, Frederick Vesey. But this man, Jesper Carlsen, who you've seen on the intro, this is, the eras that we're showcasing here at CKR are very much of when you started karting from the mid-80s for about a decade and a bit to get to, your next stage in your career. Just tell us about how you got bitten by the bug, first of all, because there's got to be someone that, hooks their teeth in and sinks you and it says, right, you're coming with me,
Actually, my dad did rallycross, and one of his competitors, called Bjarne, his daughter was a few years older than me, Trina her name was, and she was doing karting. And one day there was a car back home in my dad's workshop, borrowed from Bjarne, and there was a price to the car. I remember there was a price on the car, a price on the engine, and I only had enough money in a bank account to buy the chassis.
Yeah.
And that was late '85, and my birthday is on the 11th of December, and I was pretty sure that I was going to get the engine because I bought the chassis. I was pretty sure I was going to get the engine for my birthday. I remember I told one of my good mates, I'm going to get this engine. He said, nah, I'm sure you're not. So on my birthday, I woke up in the morning and I got a new bicycle. I tell you what, I've never been so disappointed. But my friend, he knew because my parents asked what kind of bike he had, and I got one similar. So, but what I didn't know was Christmas was coming up, and I was so gutted that I didn't get the engine.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, there was a box. I remember I was sort of thinking, I'm still missing a present from my parents, and that's the present. And I cried. I was so happy. I was only 10 years old, and I got this go-kart engine. That's how it started. My dad was a Danish rallycross champion.
Yeah. Now, obviously, karting has seen such a great amount of talent, of course, one of which who you were alongside for quite a few years, Kevin Magnussen, where you were there in the, if anyone might remember, Kevin's iconic celebration on the nose cone of the VF22 in Interlagos. This man was in the hospitality and then dashed down to celebrate with the team. But of course, Kevin very much is, the Magnussen family have their own track, which my good friend Bram Savada has raced at and said it's awesome. But to have CKR be here at what is one of the biggest homes of karting in Denmark, Vojens Motorsport Arena has been around since '63, has evolved over the years, still has that little bit of charm, old, ancient, rustic charm. Of course, yes, we know that tarmac does fade over time, but this event really does bring back the old days. I mean, we were talking a bit earlier on today about your days in Jika, and then, of course, Robert running in Formula A. I still remember his races at Val d'Argenton in '98 when he was still running under a different nationality, not Danish as he is proud these days, but of course with Robert's surname being Schlunsen, of course dad being originally from Germany. What were some of the highlights of your career in karting up until you moved on at age 22?
I did the juniors in 90 and 91. The problem was then I grew quite a lot from 90 to 91, so I couldn't be there on weight. I was literally just too heavy for the 91 season. But I did the 92 Formula A championship and finished third in Marienburg and Monte-Carlo. In Monte-Carlo it was. There was four rounds of the European, so I finished third in the second and finished third in the fourth one and finished sixth overall. And that promoted me to Formula Super A, and I was not very successful. I was quite tall. I said body height, but in the 95 and 96 we did all right. We raced with Haas car then those 2 years, and we did pretty well. I mean, from won some of the qualification heats. I finished in top 10 quite a few times. So, but it was pretty cool then. It was tough names like Trulli Fisichella.
Yes,
there's some good names then. And I
think yes.
From my era, I drove karts from late 85 to 97, and this is what this event is all about. Is the span of that era, and I left karting at the age of 22 and went into Formula Fords and into car racing. And being that little bit older, moving to England and doing the British Formula 4 Championship, doing British F3 was good for me, because if I'd moved earlier, I'd been too young, I wouldn't have been able to stand on my feet. So seeing a Max Verstappen going into Formula 1 before he gets his driver's license.
Yes.
When I went into cars, you had to have a driver's license before you even started out. So it's a different story then.
Yeah.
But I used to race these 100cc cars, and I do it occasionally as well. And it's so intense. And when you go into car racing, you tend to get bored over the weekend because you don't drive very much. This go-karting is pretty intense. You're really on it during the weekend. And that's what I love about it, because it's very authentic. It is just hardcore racing.
And that's why, folks, karting is karting. You know, you don't have many racing formulas in motorsport that rev to 80.
No, I would
But
say, to compare,
yeah,
you do high level of karting to get something that compares to it in car racing. You go into Formula 3 and beyond, because they are really quick. I remember the first time I drove a Formula 4, they came to me and said, "What do you think of it?" I felt it was slow. Yeah, the speeds were higher, and if you made a mistake, it took a long time to stop. That's when you found out you were going quick. But the cars were small tracks, small vehicles, really intense, and your brain is really up to speed when you do this.
I think the only formula apart from karting that revved anywhere near to 20,000. Still might remember the days when V8s in Formula 1 went to 18,000 RPM, I think, at 1.19,000. But Jesper, thanks so much for the chat, and glad to have you here with us at Vojens for CKR100.